Hey, it's Heidi Rain. Welcome back to another episode of Addiction and Codependency Breakthrough. Man, am I glad you're here today. We are going to talk about something that I think probably one of the number one questions I get asked over and over again inside of my courses and programs and coaching opportunities. And that is, how do I stop getting sucked back in? Now, I know you probably have had the shits of this thing, right? You have reached your absolute breaking point, and just when you think that's it, I've made up my mind, I am not signing up for another day of this. That's it. I've had it, and you get the courage to walk away. What you lack is the strength to maintain that decision once you've already made it. And so, how does it typically happen? How do you typically get sucked back in? Well, manipulation. Right? It's very easy for us to blame the other person and say, well, of course I get sucked back in because they are so good, Heidi. You don't know. You have no idea how good they are. The thing they say, they always seem to know. In fact, they always seem to know just when I'm the happiest and I'm about to get into something new or break through to the other side of my joy and my bliss. And ring, ring, the phone rings. Oh my God, I did like an old school 80s phone, but the phone rings and they have like the worst timing or the best timing as far as being able to get you sucked back in. So we're going to talk about this today. How does this happen? Why does this happen? And I'm going to give you some strength, some tips, some strategy so that you can understand yourself a little bit better, look out for the signs and see how you can avoid getting sucked back in if in fact that is something that you want to do. If it is your time. Now, many times we don't know. We get sucked back in because we kind of don't know where we really stand. And if we just take a minute and sit with that for a second and be really honest with ourselves, the truth is nobody can really make you do anything, right? We can allow ourselves to be manipulated. Now, again, I'm not. Of course, the more you know, and the more you work towards your own healing, the less manipulated you can be. But sometimes we allow ourselves to be manipulated because the truth is we're very on the fence about should I stay or should I go. And how do I know that? Is because the majority of people that come into my courses or come into my coaching start from that very place. They start with, I don't know, should I stay or should I go? And the truth is, before you decide to stay away for good or how to stop getting sucked back in, you got to be honest with yourself of where you are in the process. Are you still on the fence? If you are still on the fence and you don't know if you should stay or go, the best thing to do is to go ahead and go over to HeidiRain.com and have a look around over there. If you request more information, you can see some of the opportunities that I have to support you in making this decision. We don't take this lightly. And I want you to be able, if you're going to walk away, I want you to know, hold your head high and know with no guilt that you did absolutely everything you could do to make this thing work. And you have no regrets. Not the tattoo, the neck tattoo, no regrets, but no regrets. And you can walk away feeling really good. And I promise you that can be done. I've helped hundreds of people be able to do that. So why do you keep getting sucked back in? Well, there are two things that I'm going to talk about today. Two tracks, I guess we could say they are. And most every single phenomenon falls into one of these two tracks. And the first one is uh I wrote it down because I worded it a little bit differently. What I was really gonna say is, like, one of the things that keeps us is guilt, but I'm gonna put it under this bigger umbrella, and you guys have probably, excuse me, heard me say this on multiple occasions, this thing I call toxic compassion, and I know other people have said it too, toxic empathy, toxic compassion, but what that means is you get so good at understanding their scenario and developing this heart of gold for this person, no matter what they have put you through, no matter what they have done, no matter how bad it's gotten, you are able to see this person in a light that many other people don't see them. Sometimes when you're with an addict or an alcoholic in particular, or somebody equally as dysfunctional, their own family will get to the point where they walk away, but you're in this intimate relationship and you pride yourself on that. You're like, well, I can see what nobody else sees in them. I see the good in them when nobody else is able to see it. And you really feel like that is such a great quality that you're able to have. And my love, it is. One of the wonderful things about you is that you are able to see the good in people. That's probably why you're even in most of us are in helping professions, nurses, teachers, doctors, people that love to help and see see the good in people. But the truth is, you have to ask yourself on the same side of that coin, if everybody else is seeing everything that I'm not seeing, and I really am the only person in this person's life that sees what the good in them or can see it from all angles. What is that really about? Is that really about my superpower, or is that about something a little deeper and a little more at play that I might not be aware of, which is my own codependency? If I'm able to see, now let me explain, okay? As a codependency expert, I really believe that everything we're doing goes back to this main attachment issue of codependency. And codependency is just a way to function and dysfunction. It's a way to get love. A lot of us are in these dysfunctional dynamics or born into them, and we find a way to survive, thrive, connect, or cope and bond to people and kind of, get the love that we want. And one of these ways that we do it when we're growing up or we're in these dynamics is we become kind of the savior or the hero or the fixer. And we get into these relationships where they might say to us, our partners, "Oh my God, you are the only person who really gets me. Thank God for you. You're the only person that sees good in me. I don't know how you see this good in me because I keep doing all these crap things to you, but here you are maintaining this level of I can't believe it, how you're there for me." And that makes you feel pretty good if you're honest with yourself, right? You're like, yeah, you know what? And if you're really insecure and insecurely attached in this dynamic, you will certainly use that as a way to stay super connected to that person. Right. Well, if they just, they know that I'm the only one that's going to be there for him. So if you have any kind of abandonment issues or rejection issues that you have unresolved in you, this will be a secret strategy that you're running in order to stay in this relationship or have this relationship work. And honestly, it's a trauma bond. I've done a lot of talking around this, and in my programs we dive a lot deeper to really understand, is it really this guy that you're really into or this person that you're really into, or is this a trauma bonded relationship where you're trying to like secure your spot and have somebody never leave you or pick you no matter what? Toxic compassion is a real thing. It's this ability to see the best, and it's like this. It moves into this other talk about the two tracks, and they're really closely intertwined. One is toxic compassion and the other is toxic positivity. So I'm going to give them both to you, and then we're going to go back and forth. Is it toxic compassion or toxic positivity or a blend of all things? But basically, what happens is you're able to see all this good in somebody, right? All this good that may or may not actually be there. Now, when I say that, my personal development friends kind of go a little ape, right? They're like, "Lady, everybody has the power. Step up. Step up. You just have to break through." And I am codependency and addiction breakthrough, so I get it. But I also know that one of the best gifts we can give ourselves and give other people in the world is to know and respect our very real limitations. Those are called boundaries. Right? Your limits are your boundaries. And if you go around saying, and nobody has any limits, and I have no limits, then you also have no boundaries. And boundaries keep us safe. Boundaries keep us protected. So it's important that you know your limits and you know your boundaries. And when I talk about, well, everybody is awesome, right? It's toxic positivity. Everybody can make it work. Everybody can do amazing. Everybody can break through. Everybody can become who they're destined to be. Waha. Now, there we are at the end of that sentence. Everybody can become who they are destined to be or reach their fullest potential. Now, if we just sit with that question for a minute, we are ridiculous enough to believe that every single human person's potential is the exact same destiny and potential as everybody else. And that's not true. How do I know that? Because our life is reflected in nature, and the destiny of a honeybee is different than the destiny of a locust, though they both serve really important purposes, right? One creates life and one destroys it. So we have to know if everything out in life has its own nature and their goal is to fulfill their own nature, so it is true with us as humans that our great destiny is to fulfill our nature. So when we're looking at an addicted person or a dysfunctional person, we're asking ourselves this very real question to say, should I stay or should I go? And that is, what is their nature and what is their nurture? Nature is, who is this person without the drugs and alcohol? And that's what you keep asking yourself all the time. And that's where this toxic positivity marries this toxic compassion. Well, they only are the way they are because of the way they grew up, and they're only treating me this way because they never really had any support or love, and I'm the only one supporting them. And if I just pour enough love into them, they will reach their highest potential, and then I will be the one that set them free. I will be the one, and they'll be indebted to me because I rescued them, I saved them, and I fixed them. Now, this is some real honesty soup that we're brewing here, right? And some of us are going to take a taste of that honesty soup and we're going to spit it right out because the truth doesn't always taste very good. But those of us that have adjusted our palates to crave the truth and to be wanting the truth, then we're going to marinate on this soup. It's going to go down and go, mm-hmm. Uh-huh, it's gonna feel good in our belly if we allow it to digest and marinate within us, okay? This is a truth soup. We stay in these relationships because we think there's a payoff to our pain. Oh, we're in this thing and suddenly someday they're gonna turn into the person I've always wanted them to be. That's that toxic compassion and a toxic positivity. Well, I know they just can't be there now because of XYZ, but anybody can be there. Well, I'm here to tell you anybody can't. I have no idea if they're able to do that or not. And your first step is to really sit with myself or in one of my programs or courses and see, is this person even have the capability? Is it a question of willing or able? Are they just unwilling to change and meet your needs, or are they unable to do that? And that is a real question. There are locusts and there are honeybees, and there are people that have this nature within them that you take away the drugs and alcohol, and they still jerk, okay? They're still lazy, they're still, angry, on all those different things. So, we have to really take our time, and that's why I think it's so important. I know why I spend so much time on this, should I stay or should I go? I've even developed a seven-step process called the rapid detachment method, which actually we use as a rapid decision method as well, and it's a seven-step process I take you through in order for you to really figure this out once and for all. And you can do it inside the courses with me, or you can do it privately, one on one. If you want to do that, you can send me a message over at HeidiRain.com and ask me about scheduling one of those rapid detachment sessions. And we can figure it out. Promise you, within like 90 minutes to 2 hours, we will figure out if this person can work or not. I have that gift and ability to be able to help you do that. And thank God, right? Because isn't it hard on our own to try to figure these things out? So I want you to take a look at it. Are you having toxic compassion to the point where you're so good at justifying, rationalizing, and understanding their bad behavior that you end up forgetting how you're impacted and how you're hurting in all of this because you're so focused on justifying why they're doing that thing that they're doing? Or do you have this toxic positivity where you think, well, I'll watch Heidi, I'll leave, and then all of a sudden they'll get their act together, and then I'll be out in the dust, but I'll have done all that hard work, and then some other person's going to have the benefit of all my hard work because they're going to suddenly get their act together. That's magical thinking. That's magical thinking, and you need to know that, hey, I know what you're thinking because I hear it all the time, over and over again. And I've thought the same thing. I know that many times I was in relationships with people that had suffered. In particular suffered from love addiction, and I just thought that I'd be the one. I'd be the one to be the person to cure him from all of this. And the truth is, it's just, I don't have that much power. Neither do you. So although we can be excuse me, although we can have massive influence in somebody's life, we don't really have any control over that outcome. And so I want to walk you through this process to know, is it this toxic compassion? Is it this toxic positivity? And also another form of toxic positivity is like selective amnesia. You get a little distance from this person and that compassion really weighs on you and you start to think, well, it really wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Like a little time goes by and you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that horrible. And any person who's ever quit drinking, including myself, and sober for 13 years, has had that thought on their sober journey. "Oh, was it really that bad?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I've lost my shoes, woke up where I didn't know where I was. Yep, yep, it was that bad." Just takes a minute of reflection to remember, and sometimes it's really helpful for you to keep a journal, an emergency journal of, "Here's why we broke up," or, "Here's why I'm ending this relationship," and read that to yourself every time you're starting to feel a little textastic, and remind yourself of all the reasons. But honestly, it really does take support. You're not meant to do this all by yourself. This is a difficult thing to navigate, and it's not your typical relationship. It's not your typical breakup. A lot of us have this fear, immense fear that if we don't go back, something really bad is going to happen to that person, and then it becomes like this tug of war within ourselves, and we really do believe we're the only one. So there's a very serious nature to this question, why you keep getting sucked back in, that most normies never understand. And by normies, I mean people that aren't in these really dysfunctional, addicted dynamics. There's a whole nother level of anxiety that goes along with this. And so I just want to take a minute and really point out how severe it can be and how serious it can be. And support is your best friend. It is your best option. So I hope it's me. I mean, I understand this dynamic. I've dedicated my whole life to helping you in particular with this. And so this is what we're not great at many things in life, but maybe one or two, this is my thing. This is what I'm really best at. And I'd love to support you. But if not, and if I'm not the one for you, then I really want to encourage you to get into some other kind of support system, whether it's your local therapist that you see, or you want to work with a therapist near you. I'm a coach, not a therapist, which is I provide more strategy, more consultation. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do once I figure out all the inner workings of your mind and your relationship. I'm going to be more of a consultant and kind of give you direction, where therapy is a great place for support and encouragement and understanding. And although we offer that as well, but I just want to encourage you, find some kind of support, because you need to. It's not a bad thing to say, I'm not strong enough to stay away. I don't have the strength. But the reality is none of us really do. We borrow the strength of others until we build our own. Just like when you go to a personal trainer, when you go to the gym and they're pouring into you. You got it. 2 more reps. You can do it. And you're like, you want to flip them off, but celebrate. You don't know what to do. At the end of the day, you feel better until you can motivate yourself. And that's how this works too. You need that type of support, and I'd love to give it to you. So, hopefully this episode has been helpful for you. I'm sure that it is, and your comments tell me that. So I appreciate your comments. Please leave them. Let us know how this is helping you, and share this episode with a friend if you feel you can benefit, somebody else can benefit from it. And as always, please reach out over at HeidiRain.com if you're ready to be a cycle breaker. You're ready to break free from any self-destructive, codependent patterns, cycles of behavior once and for all. I'm your girl for that, and I've got you. I look forward to seeing you over there or in another episode. Take excellent care of yourself. Bye.